morning, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Water and Power Commissioners. Today is Tuesday, June 11th, 2024. This proceeding is being broadcast on Channel 35. The exact broadcast times can be found by contacting Channel 35. Board of Water and Power Commissioners, please say present for roll call. Commissioner NURIT KATZ.
Present.
Commissioner LEHRER.
Present.
President KATZ.
Present.
Vice President MCGRAW. Commissioner PINDER.
Present.
4 board members, a quorum is present. Mr. President?
Thank you. Thank you. My apologies to all for spending more time on the freeway than I wanted to this morning and holding you all up who got here on time. So again, my apologies to the public and our staff and the commissioners. Sad thing was, I was happy I got here when I did, as everybody knows in LA. But anyhow, why don't we start? Again, my apologies, and I'm glad everyone's here. You got a bunch of things to do this morning. How about we start with public comment?
Public comment is open at this time, and there are no public commenters. Public comment is officially closed.
Well done, public. Thank you for that.
On the freeway.
There I am. That's who I passed on the way. How about we go to our briefing by our new GM and welcome Janice to not her first meeting.
No.
But Janice has been very busy and going a good direction for the department. So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, President KATZ. This week is my official first month on the job, and I'm still here and happy and smiling. So it's a good sign.
It's a very good sign.
And you know, one of these days I'll tell you what my first impressions have been of the department, but everything has been very positive. And there's something about this department that when we want to do something, we get it done. And there's a lot of things we want to do, and I'm so excited for the future of the department. So let me start by talking about Pride Month. So June is Pride Month, so happy Pride to everybody. This month was historical for this year, and this month was historical for our Lady WP, especially on June 5th, where we raised the flag, the progress flags in front of our headquarters in support of our LGBTQIA plus community. That was also historical for the city of LA, where Mayor Bass also raised the flag in front of City Hall. That demonstrated our commitment to diversity and equity and inclusion and belonging for our employees and our coworkers and our community. So it's a very important day. I want to pass it off to Greg. I know Commissioner KATZ was also on the Pride Parade this last weekend. I think we have a video that we want to showcase, but I'd love to open it up for you guys to comment on what your experience was on the Pride Parade.
Absolutely, and thank you so much, Janice, for recognizing that historical moment of raising the flag in front of our headquarters building on Wednesday, June 5th. And I can just add to your comments that I think it's very important, and it gives me pleasure and pride to know that we are showing up for our communities, and we're showing up for our employees. And our presence in the Pride Parade does the same. And so there was approximately 75 of our employees, friends, and family at the DWP Parade. You could see us there in the photo alongside our very own Jason Cleanthes, who is the organizer of our Pride ERG, Employee Resource Group, as well as our Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Office. And I can tell you, it was a fun Pride Parade this year. And the theme is Power in Pride. And when you think about power in pride, it really is about empowering our communities, uplifting voices that often are not heard, for people who are often not seen, and perhaps in some jurisdictions intentionally ignored. But the city took a bold stand by raising the flag. The department took a bold stand by raising the flag. And it was wonderful to be on that parade route, having a really good time with music, with our fans, and interacting with the crowd. It was a really good showing this year. So with that, I'll pass it over to NURIT, who I really appreciate showing up for this particular event.
Thank you. Yes, it was wonderful to be there. And I just want to say a huge thank you to our Pride ERG. They did an amazing job organizing, and to all the staff who were there marching and driving our bucket truck and Ford F-150 that were there, fully electric vehicles. It was just a beautiful day. A lot of, just loving energy and inclusiveness. It was really wonderful to get to spend time with everyone. And I think it really shows the commitment that DWP has to creating an inclusive atmosphere where everyone can feel comfortable being themselves, whatever that may be. So it was really a powerful day and a beautiful day, and was honored to be part of it. So thank you to you and your team and everyone who organized.
Thank you so much. And if I may, Janice, I could share a couple more items. Our supplier diversity team also participated in a business event with the LGBT Chamber, showcasing DWP procurement opportunities and matchmaking with companies who are interested in doing business with the department. So that was last week as well. And we have an upcoming event bear with me here, it's on June 18th. It'll be a lunch and learn for our employees to understand some of the experiences of the LGBTQ community. Some of that may be challenging, and so we want to be able to share those experiences and help a better appreciation and understanding of what our life experiences are, and provide support for that. And so we'll have a speaker coming in from Enterprise University, and that'll be on June 18th at lunchtime, and it'll be online on WebEx. So an announcement will be coming out soon, and we hope to have a good showing from our employees to participate in that event. So with that, I'll end my remarks there. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Greg, and really proud of the work we're doing to support our diversity and inclusion in the department. There's a lot of efforts in all areas of diversity, and then more to come, so awesome. I also want to talk about June 28th. We had a press conference at the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, MWD, to celebrate that LADWP was awarded $30 million on a grant from the Bureau of Reclamation, money that's going to be put into the groundwater replenishment project in the San Fernando Valley. We were one of 3 recipients of that grant, which is really important. That project will provide about water for 250,000 people in LA. But also, it's a project, every time we get a grant, it helps our mission of delivering sustainable and equitable and affordable water for our customers. So that project so far has received half of the funding required through grants, which makes it affordable for our customers, so we don't have to continue to increase rates for supporting some of those capital projects. So it's a humongous award, and we continue to ask for more grants. That day on June 28, we pressed send again for phase 2 of that grant program. And I'm very proud of the work that our grants team has been doing on securing federal funding and state funding to support some of our capital projects. We also had a Hollywood Reservoir grant opening, and it was in partnership with EPRI, the Electric Power Research Institute. We had a grand opening for the new pollinator garden at the Hollywood Reservoir on Saturday, June 1st. And it will serve as a habitat for pollinators, including insects, birds, and more, who diligently fertilize many of the seeds and fruits we eat, and be a place where residents can learn how they can help the city of Los Angeles achieve its sustainable goals. The garden was dedicated in memory of Cindy Montañez, one of our beloved environmentalists and activists who served on the Southern California in many roles, including Assistant General Manager of us, LADWP, and Mayor of San Fernando. I want to thank the department staff. I think Commissioner KATZ, you were part of that event too, and invite community members to learn and enjoy the garden, which is a huge accomplishment to our biodiversity efforts and the work we're doing to support our communities.
Thank you. And I just want to note, Commissioner LEHRER was there as well and spoke at the garden opening. It was really a beautiful day and such a special tribute to Cindy. It was wonderful to be there with her family and with staff. So thank you very much to the department for your leadership and creating that demonstration garden, which will inspire many throughout the city.
Yeah,
And-
if I could just,
Go ahead.
for a second, add to that. Cindy occupied the state assembly seat that I had one cycle after I was termed out, and coming out of the city of San Fernando, very committed to both diversity, to the environment, and did a great job at CEO of Tree People. So we're very glad to see what the department did and recognize the life of somebody who left way too early and was a really good person. So thank you.
Yes. I'll just echo what both of them have said. I did work with her, and I've been involved with Tree People for probably as long as Commissioner KATZ and Richard. And so it was wonderful to see, and also some of the Tree People family there, and especially her family. It was very moving to be with them and for them to sort of absorb the comments that were made about her and what she meant to everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Lastly, we want to talk about LACY, our Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator. That's at our LEHRER Innovation Campus, our own facility. They also received significant amount of funding recently to aid in their efforts in creating a more sustainable future for LA. The United States Representative Jimmy Gomez, who helped to secure the federal community project funding, joined us, LADWP Acting Chief Sustainability Officer Aaron Gross and Deputy Mayor Nancy Suckley in presenting a $1 million check to LACY. So that was a great accomplishment. This funding will benefit LACY program participants, the LEHRER Innovation Campus, and the greater LA community. And lastly, I want to introduce my new chiefs of staff for the office of the Chief Executive Officer and Chief Engineer. We have Evelyn Cortez Davis as my Chief of Staff for the water system, and Jason Rondu as the Chief of Staff for the power system. They will be instrumental in helping enterprise-wide initiatives, thinking about how do we correlate all of the strategies and plans that we have to deliver and work as one unit as part of the Department of Water and Power. So please help me welcome them and thank them for their commitment to helping me get into the strategy. Thank you.
Congratulations. Good luck. And thank you for volunteering to be part of this experiment as we move forward. We're looking forward to great things from everybody, and including the existing folks and the new ideas and new approaches you all bring to the table, and that Janice represents and is working hard to implement. So
Thank you very much.
very much looking forward to it.
And President KATZ, I have Aaron with an update on the Workhub.
So we just invited some of the employees that worked on the Workhub that's on the 6th floor. Most of you have seen the hub. So I just I'm so proud of the employees and the way they pulled together. This was a concept that was presented to the board back in November of last year. And then from the concept to actually opening the doors for employees to enjoy it, it's been an incredible collaboration amongst all the divisions in there, in the department. So this hub is going to be used for making sure that we think what the future workplace is going to look like and how we want to make it very comfortable for employees to come in, collaborate, and use the space to do the business of the city and the department. With that, I just want to start with, we have several of the employees here, but I want to start with thanking Tom DeSmith, who's the head of our facilities group, that he led the effort. So thank you, Tom. And if I can ask you to come in and just to kind of go through recognizing some of the employees that worked on the hub.
Good morning, Commissioners, Mr. President, executive staff. Thank you, Aaron, for recognizing this great space. And I'd like to also push forward my sincere appreciation and gratitude to the team that made this happen. To a couple of facts, it took over 11 groups and 80 plus participants to make this happen. And along the lines of Janice's comments on when we say we're going to get something done, we get it done. The hub was built completely by water and power staff. We didn't do any contracts. And we had a short window to get this done. So in 5 months, we told them right away, we want this open at the beginning of May, and they met that challenge. Construction was done primarily in the evening, because various reasons, there's abatement issues, and there's, we have a regular business during the day. So to minimize the impact on that, we did most of the construction at night, which brings in a lot of the staff from power construction maintenance, which is, they've been integral in this as well. But, and I'll be brief, I promise. I just want to point out the groups and some of the key players that made this happen. From my own facility services team, we had planning and design group, which did the complete design and also the project management. That team is led by Mr. Jensen Wu, the design manager. Mei Ling Tu was the project architect and project manager. William Volbright is the project designer, and Meliana Tanzel did the landscape design. And then a couple of key players from power construction and maintenance that kept this thing going, and they were here day in and day out, and they made this happen, is construction maintenance supervisor Ed McCormick and electrical mechanic supervisor Mildred Ben David. And then now I'll just run down the number of groups that were involved here, and we have a whole lot of the employees standing out in the hallway ready to.
They're right behind you now.
Appreciate it, yeah. Oh, they're here now. Oh, they're right here. Okay.
We all came to support you.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, so they're already in. So we had, outside of the facility services and power construction maintenance, we had ITS. They did the reservation software, the network engineering, and the voice engineering. Communications did graphics and logo design. Security planning and engineering. We had cable shop, data shop, other facility services teams, reprographics did all the wall graphics. Facilities planning and design, facilities services, Metro Landscape, which provided the plants and they maintain that. General and electrical construction, the insulator group, which did the abatement, supply chain services, which helped us procure all the furniture, voice network services. So without further ado, I'd like to give a little round of applause to the team members that made it here. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Hey, Tom, I'll just add, very impressive work, team. It looks like it was done in years of planning and construction, and it was done in 4 months. Very, very well done. Great quality, beautiful space. We actually opened the space for our phase 2 of the equity strategy meeting. So we have community-based organizations come into the conference room that's part of that space, and they loved it.
Great.
They loved it. So they want to use more of those. I know we're going to do some of those across our territory, and happy to open those spaces for our community-based organizations to held meetings there, but it's all because of the amazing work you guys did, so thank you.
And they're already working on the next hubs that we're planning, so.
May I say this to Tom personally? I think I'd only been on the commission board maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, and they were talking about when we moved to Eagle Rock, and I let it be known that was a deal breaker. Well, so Tom very graciously got together a group, took me and several others over to the Eagle Rock facilities. My mouth stayed open the whole time as to see the attention to details that he and others, and probably some of these very people in this room now, have done to try to make that facility all that we would want it to be as we continue to serve the public when we'll be out of this building. And I wanted to say, though, I had collected a big bag of rocks to throw at you. I have now put them in my garden. Rocks are gone. You are a very gracious man, and you are doing something wonderful both in this building and at Eagle Rock. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for saying that. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Tom, you understand, and along with the congratulations, you've now spoiled us in turnaround, which we expect to reflect in everything going forward.
We're up to the challenge.
You certainly have improved this space in a very short period of time, which again will raise expectations for how long we'll be in Eagle Rock or when we're coming back. I have not seen the building there yet. I have seen Colombo, so, in Eagle Rock, so.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna love the space. We'll set up a tour for you when you're ready.
I appreciate that. Thank you, but thank you to you and your team and ARM for the creativity. You took me through the space a couple months ago, and very impressive. And I can understand why people want to be in that space.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Tom, again.
All right.
Yes,
Thank you,
thank you.
team.
Tom, thank you. Okay,
President Katz, back to you.
thank you. Thank you, Denise. Fred, you're up. Ratepayers Advocate.
First, we have a number of items that relate to adjustment factors in the rates. For the power rates, adjustment factors are now more than 50% of the rate. And for water, it's now more than 70% of the rate. So these adjustment factors are important. I have some slides I can walk through, but the first question is the board going to want to walk through any of Ann Santilli's slides on these topics before I make my comments?
Do you have them prepared?
I think you have the floor, Fred. I haven't been told by any of the board members yet that they want to, but Ann?
Every board package has a presentation.
Right.
And happy to walk through any of the 5 items we have on today's agenda.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with the pre-review of materials, but defer to other commissioners if
And
they
I
want
feel
a
the
live
same.
presentation.
I'm fine.
Okay.
I will only say, and we're talking about ratepayers, right?
Yes.
That I was at one of several events that the mayor is hosting with the community to talk about issues. And I had to leave. It was all very lovely and pleasant. There were maybe 20 people in the room, in the garden. And they just wanted to say that they were very worried about their bills. So it was kind of something we maybe could talk a little bit more about. I think that communication to the homeowners about how they can, it's still interesting that the message isn't out there as clearly as we all think, right? When it's raining, turn your irrigation off. I mean, there's so many things one can do. And so I just think that we need to do the little effort of the drop campaign or something like it again, because it was a little embarrassing for me.
If you'd like, I can go on at great length about matters related to rates, but I might have to interrupt to go to my on and on meeting.
Okay,
So,
we can do it separately. That's fine. Okay.
Thank
I
you.
think we can always, I appreciate the point, Commissioner, because I think particularly when it comes to rates, you can never do a good enough job in explaining something as complicated as water rates or power rates are to
Yes.
the person who just cares because they really don't care about how we got here other than they're writing a larger check than they want to.
Yes, exactly.
And that includes all of us sitting up here as well.
Absolutely.
it's never a good time to increase rates, but if you want reliable and sustainable service, you have to. Could we queue up my PowerPoint presentation?
Sure. And
That
while
would be
they're doing
great.
that,
Thank you.
at least, Fred, at least this time, we can thank Metropolitan Water District for part of what's happening here over the objections of the LA delegation, I should point out. But
Yeah.
let's go to your PowerPoint. and-
Sure. First slide. Next. It isn't our fault.
No one ever buys that, you know? It's just, I mean, I understand it, but we all do, but, you know.
We've had substantial inflation in the past dozen years. This chart shows general inflation is reflected in the gross domestic product, which is a mixture of personal consumption, investment, and government expenditures. In the 8 years through 2020, inflation increased overall prices about 13.5%. And in the last 3 years, ending the first quarter of this year, it increased 18.2%. Now, inflation is starting to level off now, but bear in mind that the current rates were proposed in 2013, 2014. They were approved in March of 2016, and a new rate review was planned in 2020. We haven't had that new rate review of rates, and that creates problems of lack of transparency in the rates and their formation and the investments behind them. It creates inappropriate rate design and inappropriate allocation of overall cost of service among the classes. So we're not beyond time, we're way beyond time for a rate review, but there are other legal risks in this process that I will leave to Ben Chapman at some time to explain. But we have had substantial inflation. It affects our needs to pay our employees fair wages. It reflects in the cost of our materials. It's deeply reflected in the cost of fuel and other components that we purchase to serve our customers. And it reflects in the cost of our suppliers, including MWD. So it's throughout, it pervades the system, so we do have to increase prices over time. Our rates include a partial inflation adjuster in the base rate. It's the implicit price deflator minus 2%. Minus 2% has proven to be too harsh. The utility industry was doing close to, at times, 2% improvement in productivity during the times up to 2016, but since 2016, the graph on productivity in the utility industry, because our goals have changed from cost efficiency to environmental sustainability, the economic productivity number has gone wacky, and it's not appreciably possibly more than zero. So this should be perhaps in the next rate review, this should only be the implicit price deflator, no minus 2%.
We're not comparing apples to apples anymore if you take a look back as compared to what's currently happening.
Correct.
So that's part of the difficulty in explaining it to folks. And, you know, an ongoing challenge that also means, frankly, you know, we need to do an even better job of communications just so people understand what's going on. It won't make them happy necessarily, but they can't say it wasn't transparent, it's not all out there. Yeah. But as you pointed out, I mean, there's a cost to changing the target. And if the target is green, non-polluting energy, that carries consequences along with the long-term benefit.
Absolutely. You're perfectly on point from my perspective. The next slide.
That's a good perspective then. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Next slide, please. Our recommendations. On May 14th, OPA supported the final budget, and we recommend updating bill and rate forecasts 3 times a year at a minimum. On June 11th, today, we recommend approval of the items before you today relating to these pass-throughs. That includes 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then there was a cost reclassification that moved direct overhead expenditures from base rate budget into the budget for the reclassification last fiscal year. It was approved by the board in May of last year, and we looked at that again. It's a slide in the appendix, and we believe that is it's proven even more reasonable than we thought a year ago. The impact is in fact lower with this year's budget than it was the prior year. OPA recommends outreach and education to all customers, especially in vulnerable classes and especially in commercial customers, because they have more of a relative increase this year. On the power rate increases, as well as awareness for conservation programs and bill reduction items that customers can take. Following on to from your comments, Commissioner Pinder. Our commentary, our adjustment factors and rates are proposed are reasonable when combined with the outreach efforts. Customers have to be prepared to react to the higher rates. And then substantial uncertainty remains for this year, with sales being one of the key uncertainties. Uncertainty in sales ultimately drives rates for the next 18 months. So that's an important factor to consider. And how does it drive factors in the next 18 months? I hope I have the next slide right. Next slide. This is the schedule for pass-throughs. Right now, we're talking about energy cost adjustment and other adjustment factors, including the RCA that captures changes in failure to achieve revenue targets in the prior year, or in excess. If we exceed revenue targets, it would be a downward adjustment. Those targets are set for 24-25 today for both water and power. And then in the September board meeting, there's another round of energy cost adjustment factors. And then in the November board meeting, there are adjustments, including taking the base rate target for 24-25 and applying it for the following year. And then finally in March, another round of energy cost adjustment factors. There's only one water matter here, and that's setting the base rate revenue target. That is the base rate revenues expected to be or planned to achieve for water now. The BRTAs won't show, that we set today won't show up until rates until January of 26. So this is looking forward. This is complicated. It's trying to capture inflation on a fair, reasonable basis, but there are some significant time lags in this. We're taking inflation in 2023 and making the adjustments in 2026. Mm-hmm. So you understand, there's a long time lag in this. Mm-hmm.
And the reason for the long time lag is?
You don't get the numbers for 2023 until January, until really they're not settled until April of 2024. And you use that to set a budget.
Right.
So we're setting the budget for this year now, and we can't make these adjustments until 2026. So it's significant lags, and especially in periods of high inflation, that can be punishing for the utility operations.
Do you think we need to do a better job of pulling out, just for explanation purposes, the cost of greening, if you will, that's built into that rate structure?
I think we best do that in the program, on a program by program basis, because once you've made the investments,
right,
you're locked in.
Right. You can't walk back.
And
right.
Later this week, we'll release an example of that for the SLTRP. Okay. And so next slide. Here are the expected changes in rates comparing June on the old rates to July on the new rates. There are increments in those monthly bills for the same amount of power. The percentage increases are slightly higher for the bill categories or the bill tiers in the valley, although you notice the overall rates for the valley are lower. Overall, comparing the two sides. the 2 climate zones. And then for those that read graphs rather than tables, the next slide shows the 3 tiers of power rates over the last 14 years. The summer 3rd tier, which jumps substantially for 3rd tier power use in the summers, is shown in the top line, the 2nd tier in the middle line, and in the blue line. And if I call out a color wrong, correct me, I'm colorblind. The customer access charge, which was a monthly charge based on peak monthly usage during the year, based on 2-month meter readings for most residential customers, is shown in that bottom corner, but that'd take 10 minutes to explain that. I can do that privately. And then if you want to see the full layer cake of all the rate components, that's in the next slide. Let me tell you what's encapsulated here. Anything that says capped in front of it is part of a 2008 rate for power. And then Prop 26 was passed, so everything that doesn't say capped is in a 2016 rate, and these are all layered together for all components. So if you want the full explanation of rates, it takes about a year to absorb this.
At which point it'll be out of date, or?
No, we'll have several updates. We'll have 4 updates of it.
No, I understand. Yeah, there's nothing easy about rates.
Because of the complexities of Prop 26, we have some of the most complicated rates around. Taken as a whole, they're not particularly complicated. They're 3 tiers. But how they're built up is much more complicated.
And when all said and done, with all of the different components, all the variables, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, how do our rates compare to other utilities?
Ann had a great set of 2 slides in her budget on that, and I should have brought those over so I could pull them up quickly, Ann, but I didn't.
We're not the lowest in any utility, but compared to similarly situated utilities, our rates are very favorable.
So in other words, the other publicly owned utilities are similar to us in many respects, some higher, some lower. We're generally pretty good. The investor-owned utilities are higher, but then again, they've been investing earlier on sustainability than we were. So there's a reason they're higher in many components, but also the rate structure and calculation of rates is completely different on the investor-owned utility side.
And maybe just to go back, Fred had a slide on there that showed 300 kilowatt hours per month usage, 500, 700, 800. Our median customer uses 300 kilowatt hours or less, so their bill before any taxes are roughly $66 a month. I think what Commissioner Pender's, or Commissioner Lehrer's friend mentioned is that when you get into the hot months in the summer, you start going into more usage. So look at how much energy efficiency you can install, how many refrigerators. If you have one in the garage, in a hot garage, it's going to use power. So customers can take a look at that, and we have a lot of rebate programs.
Can we go back a couple slides?
Sure.
To the tables?
Where do you want to go back to?
There.
Okay.
This is the point that Ann made. If you look at the $300 kilowatt hours per month, this includes multifamily. So multifamily pulls this number down a lot. That's our summary of this. The appendix slides, if anyone has any questions, we can go to those now.
Anybody? I think we're okay on that for right now.
Yeah. somebody flipped up the most complicated table in the group.
Yeah.
What this merely says is this is looking at the reclassification of pass-through factors and overhead and pass-through factors from base rates to the individual rate factors last year. Last year, that was a one-time bump of 0.4 to 0.45%. This year, that bump is smaller. These are not this is not the cumulative. It's the total bump moved down from what it was last year, and that applies to both power and water. The bump in power this year decreased from the 2.6% to 2.2%, for example. So that's the core basis of why I think that pass-through adjustment continues to be reasonable.
Any questions or comments? Anybody?
Just thank you very much for this analysis. It's really helpful.
And who picked the most complicated chart?
None of us who understood it, so that would be But thank you for trying to help us get there. No. All right. Moving on. Thank you, Fred. Appreciate that. I appreciate all your work, and thank you for helping us try and translate this. So, all right. We are moving past Ratepayer Advocates report. Oh,
excuse me. There's one little thing.
Sure. One little thing's always like the one more question at a press conference. And
Yeah,
it's
no.
Gets you,
This is item L13
Yes,
on
sir.
optical fibers. We still don't include an inflation factor, as long as we're on inflation factors, in our leases for optical fibers. Ultimately, this is not reasonable from the perspective of our ratepayers. These leases on optical fibers should have an O&M component that reflects changes in O&M over time in these multi-year agreements.
And the reason we don't have it at this point is
the staff is working on adjusting the template for these leases. This is the old template, and I think the comment Dr. Fred was bringing up is part of the long-term strategic plan. We want to make sure that we present to the board the entire fiber strategy on how we're going to build it. And this is just a component because we're here. I mean, our primary goal for having the fiber network is to serve the utility and the city, not to lease. But these are also legacy contracts that we need to adjust to keep up with cost of O&M and inflation. So we are coming to the board with a strategy and an O&M adjustment for those.
great. I look forward to getting up to speed on that. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
I think the overall strategy is going to be something that we want to engage the board on, making sure that we have a long-term view of what our fiber network is going to be doing, especially with distributed energy generation and efficiencies and everything else that we're doing in our system. Our fiber network is going to be a key player to make sure those are enabled. And the leases are a secondary benefit of having a robust fiber network.
When did we first have a fiber network?
It's almost 25 years ago is when we always had fiber to run our systems, but the fiber enterprise has been in effect for about 25 years ago. We started early, but I think the focus on the future hasn't been quite focused on the strategy on where we're going to go. So that's what we're trying to do. But we've been doing this for 25 plus years.
I thought it was about that because that's the first time I remembered it when fortunately I wasn't handling that, but I do know the attorneys who were working with you all at that time, and everybody was so excited.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd ever see fiber network before me, but here we are.
Yep. We have over 1,100 miles of fiber within the city of LA and all the assets that we have outside the city of LA. But the idea is to take that and launch a very organized infrastructure build out that will support everything else we're going to do in the future.
It does set a foundation for our DER strategy, the fact that we have that infrastructure already in the ground and a whole organization that maintains it and keep it. The leases are a plus to bridge the gap until we fully utilize the network. Yeah.
Well, I'm very pleased that we've gotten this far because I guess I vaguely remember it was about 25 years ago. I was part of the legal team, but this wasn't my baby, but everybody was running around saying that this was going to be kind of our salvation in some areas. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Moving along on item F now. We're on
Item F, block vote.
where I'm talking about L7 through 14.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone seeing in L7 through 14 that they want to have questions on or want to discuss before moving the whole block ahead? Okay, I'm seeing none, then
No.
have a motion by a KATZ and a second by a PINDER. And without objection, all members present being recorded as aye votes.
No objections.
L7 through 14 is passed. Are passed.
4 ayes, motion adopted.
Thank you. And let's see. Management reports?
None.
Okay. Filed items, H, none.
The Chief Operating Officer would like to bring this item forward for a presentation to the board.
Okay.
This is the, I have Labor Relations Representative here, Andre Roca, if I can have him step up here. But this is a request from our board members to have notice of compliance status. And we are going to update the list once every month. So it'll be on your agenda as a status report, and then we can actually discuss some of the things that we're doing. So I'll just let Andre give a status on it. This list that you have in your folder is a little bit outdated because we have new information that's being updated. But next time we issue that report, we will include all the updates. But I'll just let Andre kind of give two parts to the report. One is process improvement on how we go about requesting and engaging the labor unions on NOC process. And the second part is basically a dashboard for the board to know where we are on each one of them. So those are the two parts. Thank you,
I
Andre.
appreciate that. I know, what was it 2 weeks ago, I think, I went with Janice to a NOC meeting, joint meeting with labor.
JRB.
GRB.
Joint.
That thing 2 weeks ago, but it was fascinating in a number of ways. And I think there are some ways that I know that people who were there are all interested in expediting the process and seeing how we can get rid of the backlog. So be interested in the report and the reports. I think it's great also that on a regular basis, we're going to be reporting to the board.
Yep.
So we can, keep moving that forward.
Yeah, we had a very productive meeting, thanks to Evelyn. They pulled about 7 water contracts together, over $1 billion worth of contracting. She was leading the discussions on, breaking up the contracts into very compartmentalized scope, impacted. So the way we want to present the information, it was a good template of how we progressed, and I think we made a huge progress towards those 7 water system contract moving forward. So we want to use that as a learning experience to make sure we all are proactively providing that information and keeping everybody transparently involved in the process so we don't have these hiccups as we move forward.
Good.
So Andre.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Andre Rocha, and I'm one of the Senior Labor Relations representatives that's responsible for handling the Notices of Compliance, NOCs, for the Labor Relations Office. I've been handling NOC requests since April 2023, and I'm primarily responsible for handling the power system NOCs. However, I've compiled this report for the board, and this will be the first of monthly updates that will be coming your way regarding the status of NOCs. So as Aaron had noted, there are a few changes to the report. I just wanted to point that out. The commissioners and the chief executive officer have the updated version. The differences are that in the pending report, line item 2, regarding water quality laboratory progressive design build, that NOC was actually already issued on March 27th, 2024, so that has been removed. And also on the pending report, line item 6, regarding as-needed professional and technical services for water supply project planning should be removed as well, as that has been postponed indefinitely. And that has been replaced with an NOC request received October 23rd, 2023 for professional and technical services for local water supply development for $48 million. Lastly, on that report, line item 15 for maintenance and cleaning services of Roweno ponds should also be removed, as that contract has been canceled. So the updated report that you should have in front of you should reflect a total of 53 NOCs pending as of May 16th, 2024, for a total of $3,469,661,907. And the one edit to the issued report is on line item 1. The Headworks Restoration Project NOC total is actually $7 million, and so that change will reflect a dollar amount of NOCs issued since April 1st of $96,049,069. As Aaron had mentioned, in the last several weeks, progress has been made on some water system contracts through meetings between Aram, Evelyn, and Selma Collins and Local 18. But there is room for improvement in the NOC process, and Aram has dedicated staff that has met with the Labor Relations Office back last Friday, talking about how we can streamline the process, show transparency, and the possibility of a dashboard. So Aram staff has reached out to us, and we'll be reaching out to Information Technology Services to develop that reporting infrastructure, and we are giving Aram staff that data to share with ITSD as well. So I'm here to answer any questions that you guys may have, and if I don't have the answers right now, I will do the follow-up to make sure I get those answers to you.
Okay. Appreciate that. Any comments or observations? I know it's an important issue to to all of us up here, to Janice as well as the commissioners. So we appreciate the updates. Obviously, I think like you, we want to get rid of this backlog as soon as possible. There are a lot of jobs waiting on,
yes.
And there's never enough. There's always more people who want to go to work around here. So, to the extent we can move those out and off somebody's desk, we want to do that. Mm-hmm. And, and empower the committee to resolve some of the things. Because I know that was one of the things I found interesting was the number of items that have been discussed for a long time, mm-hmm. as opposed to resolved. I know that was what caught Janice's attention also. So, appreciate that, and talk to Aram about that also, about moving that along. So the more stuff we can get off that list, the better off I think we'll all be. Yeah. Getting things done.
And I'll highlight the thanks, Aaron, for taking this on. We talked about it on the JRB to actually get this process under control and optimize, standardized, and consistent across the enterprise. So I encourage you to tap into our chief of staffs now to make sure we don't have disparate process between water and
right.
power,
yes.
and joint, and ensure that whatever information the locals need, IBW needs or MOA needs, MEU needs, that it's consistent across the board,
yes.
right? And that we can move forward and expediting some of the approvals because it just takes a lot of manpower to get the items on the list completed.
Mm-hmm.
The exciting part of this whole conversation, I'll just say this is my personal, is to move on to the next level of recruiting, hiring, training, and maintaining the best workforce in the world. Right. I mean, when it comes to things that we want to do, we can't do anything that we're saying we're going to move forward without having this top-notch workforce. Right. And Local 18 and us we all have the same goal of making sure that we have the best employees, the best trained, the best equipped, and the most capable of getting things done safely and making sure we make progress. So I think that's the exciting part of this conversation, is that we will contract out things that we need to contract out. We have mutual agreement to do that, but we also want to make sure that our workforce is prepared to take the next step of electrification, electric transportation, distributed energy, AI, the hydrogen. The stuff that we have in front of us is the exciting part for us to prepare our workforce to take it on. And we're all going to focus on that instead of the technicalities of where we are with this, and we'll clean that up, and then we'll move to the next chapter.
No, I appreciate that, Orm. We definitely want to be looking forward, but at the same time, we don't want to neglect sort of a baseline of what we provide. And, we have, I think all of us believe we have one of the best workforces in the world, and want to make sure they have the tools to move ahead and, work on the backlog as well as preparing us for the future. We can walk and chew gum at the same time, as the expression goes. So.
Yep. One of the topics at the joint labor management was imagining the repair facilities of the future, how they're going to look like. So when you look at the future facilities, the equipment that we have, and the workforce that's going to be in those repair facilities, totally different than repair facilities that we are used to having now. So those are conversations we're having with the JLM, and actually jointly figuring out what that program is going to look like, where are we going to build the facilities, how are we going to get those things done. Those are all going to be our workforce maintaining massive amount of transportation, electric transportation system that we, the department, is going to have, let alone the public infrastructure that we have to deal with. So everything is exciting looking forward. So
yeah, good. No, that's good, because I think one of the things that the sense I got is that the people at the JLM all are well-intentioned, but didn't feel like they could make decisions, as opposed to just there was a lot of discussion. That seemed like that people, and I know from your perspective and everyone else's, we'd like them to be making decisions and closing these things out, and moving on as fast as possible in a responsible manner. And I think that seems to be the message that you've been putting out there. I know Janice is certainly putting that out there about how, on a going forward basis, we'd like to see JLM function. And so
we're going to move that direction.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. Janice, anything you want to add on that, or?
No, I think that's really, to your point, Aaron, the key here is we're dying on 1,000 paper cuts instead of tackling the big problems, right? And so whenever I see a meeting where we're tackling process breakup, like the process broke and now we're solving onesies and twosies, it takes away from actually using our brain power to solve the bigger issues that we have to solve. So one of the things that we're working on is standardizing the processes and ensuring that the processes are working so that issues don't come up all the way to the JRB or JLM. They're taken care by the process, and then we can tackle the issues of workforce development, ensuring that we have the right capabilities and capacity in the system to solve for that. So I'm encouraged to see the work between IBW and management to ensure that the process works for both parties and move us forward to have the bigger discussions.
No, it makes a lot of sense. So, and I think, as you know, the commission's dedicated to that. So anything we can do to help move that along as well and support y'all in getting there, we're anxious to do that. So, we look forward to the reports and moving it forward. Any other questions? Yeah.
I think maybe this is a conversation we could have at another time, but how, there's specialists that have to be engaged potentially, in engineering and, future and dealing with the future. And how are partners brought in who can, perhaps have a particular set of sort of experiences and I'm pretty focused on local hire, right? That it's really important, and the city councils put forward a series of measures for local business, hire. And I see some projects some of the big projects, not, bringing in people from Boston and Philadelphia, for example. And so I just, would like to understand that whole strategy better so it's clearer to both people on both ends, both people putting out the potential contracts, but people actually going after the projects. So we could have a little bit of a conversation about that, because the present projects that I would like you to know about, and they're big.
Yeah. We can put a presentation, because this is a very important topic that we can put a presentation so we can have a discussion, and I'll ask Edith to pull together, maybe not next board meeting, but the following, if it's okay.
Yeah, and I think the NOC report that comes here shouldn't be items on this list. It should be how much of the contracts are staying in-house, how much workforce development or new workforce is being created by the work that we're doing. What's our goal, and are we achieving that goal? And if not, what are our plans to mitigate that, right? And so this is a great start, because we need the data to start analyzing. But the future of this reporting is how are we performing based on the goals that we have for the city? Because I think, to your point, Aaron, and your point, Mia, we want to create the workforce in LA. Exactly. And we have the opportunity to do that for LA. And it ties to our equity strategies and our justice strategy, right? So this is something that we all are aligned, which is not always the case, right? So we have a big goal that we're all aligned to, and we are starting the process to gather all the information to execute to that more intelligent decision-making because of data.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the report should be more of a benchmark.
Yes.
As,
Right.
A benchmark towards the larger goal, as opposed
Yes.
to the nitty-gritty of what's going on in some of the discussions, so.
Yeah, and I think the list of backlog contracts is less important than the progress and timeline of eliminating the backlog. So we look forward to those future reports.
But also, the part of that is not losing track of how many contracts are there and what the dollar value of those are, because if anything underscores the need to move them forward, it's those two numbers
Exactly.
in there, so. Great.
Thank you.
Yes, Fred?
We've been penny wise and pound foolish in this area, and I think the top level focus on improving the process and moving ahead and not spending forever on dimes and nickels.
All right.
I don't think anybody who's looking at it these days would disagree with you. So.
Thank you, Andre.
Thank you for your feedback and time.
Thank you much, appreciate it. All right, moving right along. Do we 2 minutes? Or do we
Right now, minutes are ready.
good timing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody see anything? Anybody want to make any changes to the minutes from the last meeting?
No.
Without objection, all members present being recorded as an aye vote, the minutes will be approved.
4 ayes, motion adopted.
Thank you. Let's see, motions for future consideration. I don't think we had any.
None at this time.
Neighborhood council reps?
No neighborhood councils or representatives are present or have any comments on any items on today's agenda.
Okay. L we did already,
We did items 7 through 14.
right?
If you're not calling any items special or pulling them, then I would put forward a motion to approve items 1 through 6. Do we need to call any of those?
No, you have items 1 through 6. Anything else that we're missing in that?
They're all, that would include all items on the agenda.
So that, it includes the late ad also?
Yes, it does.
Motion to approve items 1 through 6. Do we have a second?
Aye.
Yeah.
Second.
We have a
Second.
Any members objecting to all, anybody object to all members present being recorded as aye votes?
No objection.
Without none, such shall be the order.
4 ayes, motion adopted.
Thank you. And Janice, that included the late item?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
It does.
Want to make sure that one in particular
Yes.
gets done. Yeah. Okay,
I think
moving
that's
right along.
Closed session.
Closed session is up next, I believe. Shante, anything other than closed session left?
No, Ben would need to speak the magic words.
Yes.
I know. Magic words time, Ben.
Yes, we'll be moving to closed session. The board shall publicly report any action taken in closed session and the vote or abstention of every member present thereon in accordance with section 54957.1 of the California Government Code.
Thank you, Ben. Well done. Without objection, we will move into closed session. I want to thank everybody in the audience also for being here today and participating with us. Really is. Thank you for sharing.